You've probably heard of the Samsung Galaxy S21, the iPhone 12, and the OnePlus 9. But have you heard of the LG G5, Samsung Galaxy Note 7, or the VMobile N8N? These are some of the stupidest smartphones that prove not all innovations are promising. In this video, we'll unravel the 10 worst phones of the century and how they ended up in the Bad Phone Hall of Fame. Energizer PowerMax P18K. Energizer, the brand famous for its supercharged batteries, decided to try their hand in the smartphone game in 2019. But here's the catch: this technological marvel comes with a price, both literally and figuratively. The Energizer P18K measured a mind-boggling 30 to 40 millimeters in thickness, so it doesn't quite fit the slim profile that we modern consumers expect from our phones. Energizer had hoped to sell it for $599, but unfortunately, their dreams didn't come true on Indiegogo. They set up a crowdfunding campaign with a lofty target of $1.2 million, but sadly, only a few early bird backers jumped on board. Only 11 people showed interest, and even then, only 10 folks actually pledged to buy the phone. Now, here's a thought. If Energizer had priced the P18K at a more affordable level, say below $300, maybe things would have turned out differently. But let us ask you this: would you be willing to carry around a phone that weighs 5 times more and is 3 times thicker than your average smartphone just for unbeatable battery life? Marshall London. Known for its legendary guitar amplifiers and other sound gear, Marshall also decided to dip their toes into the Android smartphone world in 2015. And their first innovation was the Marshall London. This device boasted not one but two 3.5mm jacks. However, when we shift our focus from its unique audio capabilities to its performance as an Android smartphone, things start to take a bit of a downward turn. With a 4.7-inch display featuring a modest 720p resolution, and powered by the not-so-impressive Snapdragon 410 chipset with 2GB of RAM, and a measly 16GB of storage, it falls short in comparison to its more tech-savvy competitors. And here's the cherry on top: this peculiar piece of tech magic came with a hefty price tag of $585. Now, we don't know about you, but that seems a tad bit steep for what it has to offer. Amazon Fire Phone. Back in 2014, Amazon, known for its successful e-readers and budget-friendly tablets, took a leap into the smartphone market with the Fire Phone. Unlike their previous strategy of affordability, this time they aimed for premium features. But this smartphone had a short-lived existence of only 1 year. With a price tag of $199 with a contract, they wanted to go head-to-head with established players. However, the Fire Phone's adoption of the Amazon-centric Fire OS, which lacked Google services, proved to be a major hurdle. Users were directed to Amazon's limited App Store, filled with fewer apps compared to its competitors, contributing to the phone's eventual demise. And the Fire Phone, which tried to soar high, ended up crashing and burning. Red Hydrogen 1. Red is a big name in the digital camera world, known for its top-notch cameras. But when they decided to dive into the mobile phone market, they introduced a smartphone with this fancy holographic 3D-like display. Sounds cool, right? Well, according to The Verge, it turned out to be more quirky than impressive. It even had the ability to make viewers feel a bit uncomfortable when it actually worked properly. They called the display technology 4V, but here's the catch: it only worked with a handful of exclusive apps made specifically for this mysterious device. And if that wasn't enough, this phone had even bigger issues that overshadowed the minor inconveniences. With a price tag of around $1,600, it turned out to be a product that nobody actually wanted. So, all in all, the Red Hydrogen 1 was a classic case of trying too hard to be different and ending up falling flat on its face. HTC Evo 3D. During its prime in the smartphone industry, HTC had big dreams, and the Evo 3D was a testament to its ambition. This device was something special, with dual lenses perfectly positioned to capture images in 3D. But despite its impressive hardware, the Evo 3D couldn't quite deliver the picture quality that would make your jaw drop. And to add insult to injury, there was a severe lack of 3D-compatible apps that could truly bring the magic to life. In the end, the 3D effect that once seemed so cool turned out to be nothing more than a gimmick, making the device more useless than just being a below-average phone. Kyocera Echo. Kyocera, with its 2 decades of experience, always aims to stand out from the giants in the field. And back in 2011, Kyocera decided to take a leap of faith and unveil the first dual-screen smartphone. You gotta give them credit for being bold. But here's the thing, while the dual screens were a neat party trick, the rest of the phone was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. The hardware was far from top-notch, and the Android operating system wasn't quite ready for this dual-screen extravaganza. And the poor battery couldn't handle the pressure of powering those 2 screens. Plus, the dividing line between the screens ruined the flow of the images, making it feel like a jigsaw puzzle gone wrong. Who wants to deal with that headache? In the end, the Kyocera Echo was like that one friend who means well but just can't catch a break. Samsung Galaxy Fold. The Galaxy Fold decided to challenge the rules and fold its screen in half like a contortionist at the circus. But here's where things went a little haywire. Samsung thought it would be a good idea to use plastic for the screen, which turned out to be a disaster waiting to happen. Early reviewers couldn't resist the temptation and unknowingly peeled off what they thought was a protective film, only to realize they had just ruined the top layer of the screen. Oops. Some people even noticed weird bulges along the fold, like the phone had developed a serious case of hiccups. To make matters worse, thick black lines started to appear. The problem was this plastic screen was about as sturdy as tissue paper. It would scratch, score, and cut at the slightest touch. Heaven forbid you accidentally bumped it against something smaller than a pea. And you know what? The CEO of Samsung also termed this failed launch as embarrassing. VMobile N8N. Appearing out of thin air in 2019, this phone had us all scratching our heads with its mysterious origins and secretive specs. This phone made quite the impression, and by that we mean a terribly bad one. It received a dismal 2.9 out of 5 stars, and almost half of those reviews had just 1 star, the lowest of the low. People didn't even hold back with their words either. They called it everything from sucks to garbage, and it's hard to argue with that kind of sentiment. There was even a comically tragic review from Unbox Therapy on YouTube. The poor guy couldn't even finish his video review because the phone decided to power off not once but twice. If a phone can't even keep itself on for 5 minutes, then we're in serious trouble. So if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that the VMobile N8N belongs in the Hall of Shame for the worst phones ever made. LG G5. This phone was all about modularity, which is just a fancy word for being able to customize and swap out parts. It sounds cool, right? Well, not exactly. You see, the modular features of the LG G5 turned out to be more trouble than they were worth. The modules themselves were as rare as a unicorn sighting, and when you did manage to find them, they were ridiculously expensive. And to use these modules, you had to go through this whole ordeal of removing the back of the phone. It was like opening a can of worms, except the worms were actually expensive gadgets that could easily break if you weren't careful. Unfortunately for LG, all these efforts didn't pay off. The G5 just didn't catch on with consumers, and it became a big commercial flop. Even Samsung, the big player in the smartphone game, decided to ditch its own modular dreams after just 1 year of G5's release. That's how much of a flop the LG G5 was. Samsung Galaxy Note 7. And again, let's talk about the biggest smartphone giant, Samsung. At first, the Galaxy Note 7 was riding high on its success. People were loving the massive screen and all the possibilities that came with it. But then we all know what happened. Reports started pouring in about these phones suddenly bursting into flames. Yup, you heard that right. They were turning into fiery infernos. Turns out there was a problem with the design of the batteries, not exactly the kind of feature you want in a smartphone, right? Airlines also said no way to these explosive devices on their flights. Samsung had to take drastic measures, remotely disabling the ability to charge their phones. They basically turned into fancy paperweights, useless and abandoned. Sometimes even the biggest players in the game can stumble, and Samsung definitely took a major tumble with the Galaxy Note 7. And that's a wrap on the stupidest smartphones ever made. If you found this exploration of tech blunders fascinating, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more intriguing stories. Stay tuned for future episodes where we delve into the world of innovation and mishaps. Until next time, thanks for joining us and see you soon.